Hey there, YouTubers. All right, so a bit of a gaming review here. How does the Intel 12th Gen Pentium G7400 and Celeron G6900 fare as it goes with newer graphics cards? So let's take a look at that. First, though, pricing. Intel Celeron G6900 is, well, when I bought it, $6125. To be honest with you, this is way too expensive for a 2-core, 2-thread, 3.4 gigahertz processor. Shouldn't be more than $40, to be honest with you, and even that's a stretch. On the right, Intel Pentium Gold. This first came out $97 or 99. I think it was 99, then 97, 92. It hit 80, and boom, I decided to buy one for the channel. We can't always afford to buy the best stuff on this channel. Even though we do have an i9 12900 that you'll see here on the channel shortly. But $80 for this. What is a good price? It's not $80. $60 or less would be a good price on this. But who knows when you'll actually see those prices. Well, maybe you'll see eventually mine up for sale used. And it'll probably be for, $60. But yeah, $80 for this. Don't really feel like it's worth it. And we'll talk about some alternatives later on in the video. So, today I was playing a little Fortnite. We played a lot of games of Fortnite today. This was a screen capture from the Pentium G7400. Just using integrated graphics, right? So no GPU. Fortnite 720p performance low. That is the absolute lowest setting that I could get, right? Is performance low. And 720p being the lowest resolution. You can see on the screen here, FPS average 64. I don't know how many minutes into the game this was, but this is pretty much about where it was at. It's playable, but for those of us that are a little spoiled, we like 4K, to be honest with you, epic no shadows with a pretty high FPS still. Definitely more happy with that than playing 720p. At around 60 hertz. But this I do this for you guys so you can see it. Now, what was the Fortnite 720p DX12? That was about 35 FPS. So obviously a lot more playable at with performance low. I did not run this with the Celeron. One of the things, it took forever to load this game, folks. Huge negative. You can imagine the G6900 would take even longer if it would even load. So I did not bother. You can expect that the numbers on here would be significantly less. Now, one of the positives would be the power usage of the CPU. You see here 22.5 watts. Some of the games you'll see 14.5 watts, but that's at least that aspect is good. Otherwise, there is nothing really good about this. All right, another example. We threw the lowest performing 3000 RTX 3000 card, the RTX 3050 with the Pentium G7400. And you can see the screen capture looks a lot nicer, obviously. This was 1080p Performance Epic. Why did I do Performance Epic versus using low? Well, we would have got a higher FPS, right? But the bottlenecking that we were experiencing, the CPU was already pegged pretty much at 100%. It's not going to go any higher. But at least the GPU, saw a little better action in this example. Gameplay, went from being actually smooth to terrible at times. And definitely some staggering here and there. But overall, this was playable. Would I recommend it? No, not really. You definitely need a better CPU with the RTX 3050. And you can see there, FPS average is 143. Now, it's not too bad looking at that aspect. Pair this, obviously, with something like an i9 12900. And, it's a different story. But even the i9 12900, this is that's a CPU really for a better graphics card, right? So you can see what the 1% low was at the point of this video and the 0.1. All right, Celeron G6900. For the hell of it, at some point I paired this with the RTX 2060 Super. 1080p high. Obviously, the same kind of stuff. CPU's pegged at 100%. Low wattage being used though, so that's a positive, right? This isn't, and the GPU's just cruising along at the value it is. Of course, the wattage it was using also very low, but not a good combination as far as gaming goes. Gameplay is not going to be that smooth. A little bit of hesitation here and there. I'm not sure where did I capture this at. So you can see 7 minutes into this game, FPS 1% low, 3 0.1. So this is pretty terrible in relation to that, right? All right. So I know we're talking 7400, G7400, G6900, but the graphics cards that really are going to be better for this is the older stuff. Now, even the GTX 1650 didn't pair up that well with the G5900. Here's an example of that. And you can see right here 100% for the CPU. So same issues with this. Would the G7400 be a better pairing? If I still had the GTX 1650, we'd be able to tell you. But I don't believe the G6900 would pair up good. Potentially the G7400 might pair up okay with this. At some point, maybe I will get a GTX 1650 again. Now, G5900 example with the GT 1030. This is, both these were actually pegged, right? You had 99% here, and the CPU was pegged at 100%. This was 1080p low, and you see what our FPS is here. This is not, in this example, not the best FPS. This was playable, but yeah. This is kind of what I would expect, folks, if you were to pair a G6900 up with the GT 1030. You may see this GPU percentage drop a little, but I believe the CPU would be pegged. Now, once again, you're going to have low wattage if that's something you need, but gameplay is not going to be that smooth. Another example here, looking at older generation, Pentium G6400 example paired with RX 560 and 550. Now, this is an older season of Fortnite. This season, actually, I would appear the FPS is down from what I'm seeing. But you can see, these are better pairings. The lousy RX 550, this is, a little better, right? Your GPU is actually doing the work for the graphics. I don't know what the setting was. 1080p competitive. And your CPU's at 29% cruising along. This is a kind of similar to what you should expect if you were to pair the G7400 up with it. Probably matches up a little better. Might be able to pair this with an RX 570. And I'm talking about the the G7400 may be able to pair up with the RX 570. So over here, you can see we're starting to get into that bottleneck range when the 6400 was paired with the RX 560. Of course, we could have bumped up the quality and got this, this down a little bit, but I honestly expect you would see the same type numbers with the G7400, and the G5900 is going to be worse. So I know this was really a gaming review. Why not throw the Cinebench R20, R23 numbers in there? What does that really have to do with gaming? Really only matters for those games that take advantage of multi-core. And honestly, these are not the CPUs that you want to use for a game that really takes advantage of multi-core. So what do we got here? We have the top numbers are 20, bottom numbers are 23. 3 CPUs in here, Pentium G7400, Celeron G6900, i3 10100, because I believe this is probably the most competitive CPU that you might throw at this. You might also, if you can get a good price on the i3-12100F, throw that one in there, but that performance is going to be so great, much greater than this, and the price, would obviously factor in there as well. Where you can get this i3-10100, at least I've seen it for in some places $80. There's a we'll look at a different variation of it here shortly, not the exact 10100, but a different one. So what do we have? R20 with the Pentium G7400, 1447. The Celeron was, a little more than half of that. An i3-10100 at 2092. Cinebench R23 score. Here's your G7400. Celeron G6900, 2287. I didn't have numbers on an i3-10100, even though I actually own that. I probably should have looked for the video. Well, no, actually, I never did a video on that one, folks, because I had the 10100 and then R23 came around. But what I did include here was a table. You can see there's quite a few laptop CPUs that scored better. And then the 7th Gen i7 considerably higher than what you have for the Celeron or this here Pentium 7400. So this Pentium G7400 is most comparative with this laptop here, okay? Or even the other one above it. And obviously the i7 7700K is quite a bit more powerful, 4 cores, 8 threads. So cheapest motherboards, you're going to pair something up with this, with these CPUs. You're looking at really, Gigabyte H610M or an Asus or an ASRock. There are some cheaper prices out there, folks. At Newegg, I believe $80 is the cheapest motherboard that you could get for something like this, but those don't necessarily have M.2 capability. You would have to do a SATA SSD. But figure, bottom of the barrel prices start at 80. I don't show you that screenshot, but we have, these examples starting at 100. Now, if you wanted a, slightly better motherboard, looking at spending about $119 on a B660M. All right. So that, adds up to a minimum of $180 for the G7400 or $160, just starting with the CPU motherboard combo. So an alternative. Now this requires a graphics card, but if you're going to do gaming, right, this may be your best bet. The i3-10105F that they have on Amazon, $86. This thing definitely would outperform the CPUs that we're talking about in this video. And you see motherboards with LGA 1200, that's for your 10th and 11th gen Intel. They are a little bit cheaper. To be honest with you, this is obviously a much better motherboard than what we looked at before in a lot of aspects. It's obviously not 12th gen though, but $90, add that to this, you will definitely have better performance between these. And if I remember correctly, the RAM speed on these can go up at least to 3200 megahertz. Offhand, I can't remember. I have a video somewhere on there where I think I ran at least 3200 megahertz RAM. So, folks, that's going to do it. Hope you got something out of this. And to be honest with you, big thumbs down on either one of these CPUs for gaming.